there's no easy way to put it. It's time for me to break up with my all-time favorite mountain bike brake, the TRP DH-R Evo. But that's only because TRP is introducing the new Evo Pro brake. We're gonna be joined by my friend Kevin from TRP to run us through what's new on these brakes, give us a few tips and tricks for setting them up, and we might even do some mountain biking in the snow. So let's get after it. All right, years ago, Kev, you got me on those DH-R Evos. Absolutely loved them, put them on all my bikes. Now we're on to the Evo Pro. TRP always looking to improve things, so let's run through some of the features you've talked about with the new brakes.
We'll start out with the first feature is the clean cockpit routing. The exit of the hose is going to be parallel to the bar. So if you are doing like a headset routing or anything like that, it does come closer, so you can go in there, cleans up the cockpit, and just runs a little bit closer.
Looking at this thing, compared to the DH-R Evo, I'm noticing 2 dials on here. So what do we got with these dials?
That is correct. So a lot of people wanted to have a little more solid lever when they brought that lever blade closer to the bar. So this is the pad activation dial. So as you bring the lever blade closer to the bar, you can turn this pad activation dial to get a little bit more solid lever feel.
Okay, so you're adjusting when the pads contact.
Exactly. And then this right here, the outer knob is going to adjust the reach of the lever.
You've also told me you can integrate different shifters into these. You could on the other ones, but you guys made some improvements. So what'd you do there?
Yeah, so we came up with a new shifter integration system. So now you can put the shifter on either side of the lever blade, just helping out with position. You know, some people like to run it super into the bike stem, and some people like to go the other way, depending on hand size and whatnot, so.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely something that I had heard kind of complaints on the previous model was people couldn't get their shifter or their dropper lever kind of in the right position. They wanted it either further out or further in, so now it just kind of flip-flops on the other side, depending on what you want. You also mentioned kind of like ergonomics on these.
So that's another feedback we took from the race team, as some of the riders, when they ran the lever blade closer to the bar, they had a little bit of a more of a dramatic angle. So now as you pull it closer to the bar, it's more parallel to the bar, so it's just overall more comfortable, more ability when you're coming downhill.
Okay.
Why do people like to run the lever close to the bar? To eliminate arm pump.
Oh, okay, sweet. Well, let's get these things installed on my bike. And I think you've got some maybe tips and tricks when setting these brakes up that we'll go over when you get them on there.
So first off, grab your hose, put your caliper on, all that, lever on the bar, and then you're gonna put it up here and figure out what length you need. So once you figure out what length you need, depending if you're Brady Tweedy out there wanting to do bar spins or something like that, or your average rider like us that don't need to do that.
Hey, you don't know, man. Maybe I'm gonna learn bar spins in my old age.
You're gonna mark that with a Sharpie. Rather taking the plug at the lever out now, you will lose a little bit of fluid when you do that. So take a little bit of extra time and go ahead and pop off the lever.
Same fittings as the DH-R Evo, which is nice.
Be careful not to flick the line. When you flick the line, hydraulic fluid will get out of the hose, allowing air to be in the system. That's what we're trying to eliminate, is air in the system. So once you get that all cut up, make sure the lever is upright, stick it in there, put the compression nut in.
Kevin's done it so many times, his hands are actually torque wrenches, so he knows.
So yeah, torque that down, 7 Newton meters. Good to go. Put that compression nut cover right there. Reinstall the lever.
Exciting, very exciting things.
Always recommend using TRP oil in TRP systems. It does have a higher boiling point and a little less viscous. If you do use a competitor's oil, you could see some disadvantages in performance on our brakes. So always use that. Out of the basic bleed kit, does come with a small tube of oil. Go ahead and put some oil in there. Comes with a little plug so you holds the oil. So again, you do not have to do a full bleed on our system. You just want to do what we call a piston massage and lever purge. Take your tube of oil, go and screw it up here. Pad dial, pad activation dial, you want to go ahead and back that off, which it already is. And if you have a Park Tool pad spreader or an old rotor, you can cut it into a little tool, which is what we use at the shop. What we're trying to do now is massage those pistons, get them to work, push fluid through the whole system, and try and get any air in the system out of the lever. Pull that, and you can see there's a little bit of air in there. And then if you look down here, we're gonna grab this rotor tool and we're gonna push those pistons back. and do that a few times. And as you can see, you're getting quite a bit of air that was in the system from connecting the hose and the lever out. Now we have a nice solid lever seal. If you like it a little bit more modulation, you can back that off a little bit, give it a little bit more throw, a little bit more modulation. It's all personal preference. So another pro tip is to get all the pistons moving evenly. So if you have two pistons that are moving more freely, you can hold those back with the rotor tool, kind of pull the lever, get that other side just moving just a little bit and get them to move all evenly. One of the questions we get a lot is, can I do a lever purge piston massage with a bleed cup? Yes, you can, especially with our new bleed cup, it is clear. But I do prefer using a hose for two reasons. One, the fitting on the hose is a little bit bigger hole, so the air bubbles seem to work their way out easier. Also, it's a lot easier to see the air bubbles coming up, so you know how much more you need to do it. And when you stop seeing air bubbles come back, you have done the lever purge as much as you need to.
Just get Kevin to come to town every time I want to put brakes on my bike and have him do it for me, because he's the professional. So one of the more important things when you set up new brakes, new rotors, bedding in your brakes. Most people probably aren't going to have access to a fancy wheel spinning machine to help do that. What would you kind of suggest doing when bedding in brakes?
So you want to get up to speed. You don't ever want to like brake and come to a complete stop. So you want to get up to sprinting speed, apply the brakes before you come to a complete stop, let go of the brakes, pedal around for a second. Do that 5 to 10 times on each brake.
Okay. Yeah, definitely one of the underrated things that everybody needs to do when setting up new pads, new rotors. It'll make your whole system run better. You and me grew up skiing together. It's been snowy here in town, so let's go ride some bikes in the snow instead of skiing in the snow.
Sweet, let's do it.
See what they feel like. All right, so Kev, you came all the way out to Western Washington from Utah. Thought you were gonna ride some Washington loam and set up these brakes, but instead you set up the brakes and we're back in the Utah POW here. You know, this is definitely kind of an adverse trail conditions to really be testing, first rides on brakes, but I can definitely say so far, I'm stoked. You're probably gonna be bringing in like more riders that previously kind of didn't like the original DH-R Evos. I definitely think it's an option, but with the pad contact, pad activation dial, and the lever adjust, you can really dial these in. Obviously my first ride on them, I've got them set up fairly similar to yours, but it'll be fun to kind of experiment with on these brakes. So freaking killed it. Enough jibber jabbering, let's shred some POW.
Let's do it.
All right, I want to say thanks to TRP and Kevin for getting me set up on the new EVO Pro brakes. I can already tell, despite my first ride only being in the snow, that I am going to continue to be the most annoying man in the shop, telling people if they want the best braking experience, they need to get on TRP brakes. If you've got any questions about the EVO Pro or any of TRP's other brakes, hit us in the comments below or reach out to our customer service team at fanatikbike.com. That's all we've got. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.